Greetings, Missouri Mid-South Conference. I bring you greetings from the inside of my car on a rainy Sunday morning, right in front of Second Congregational Church, UCC in Memphis, Tennessee, where I will be worshiping with them and celebrating our 150th anniversary of ministry together as a beloved church across the street from Lemoyne Owen. If it was not raining, I would be outside to share with you and celebrate the beautiful building and the historic building here in Memphis, both outside as well as inside. The sanctuary is quite remarkable, and there is a mural of a brown-skinned Jesus, which is gorgeous and inspiring, that was done and painted by a Lemoyne Owen College professor in the 1950s and 60s. So I bring you greetings this morning with an awareness that we are in ministry together. And my reflection this morning was from Mary Oliver. I recently was rereading some of her poetry, and I offer this poem, which for me has a connection to my ministry of being in different places at different times. Last week, wonderfully, I was celebrating another church's 150th anniversary, St. Martin's UCC in High Ridge, Missouri, which is outside of St. Louis, and to celebrate the German immigrant presence then, and then to be here and celebrate the congregational and African American presence here is very significant and is not lost on me of the ways in which the Holy One connects us together as one world. So here the sacred scriptures from Mary Oliver, poem of the one world. This morning, the beautiful white heron was floating along above the water, and then into the sky of this, the one world we all belong to, where everything, sooner or later, is a part of everything else, which thought made me feel, for a little while, quite beautiful myself. I am inspired by Ms. Oliver's poetry, especially that poem, because in the midst of our culture and sometimes our personal lives and our church lives, where it is easier to separate and segregate, Ms. Oliver and the sacred scriptures remind us that we are one world, God's creation, and that sooner or later we will be in one, as one, together. I share with you that in this next week, I will be experiencing and offering that one world in ways that are beyond the regions of the Missouri Mid-South Conference. I invite you to hold the Southeast Conference of the United Church of Christ in your thoughts, spirits, and prayers, as their conference minister has recently resigned immediately. They are without a conference minister and in transition, and they have an associate conference minister, but also is aware that the learning curve in the midst of this transition may be rather challenging. So our general minister and president, John Dorhauer, asked me and the conference minister for the Florida Conference and the conference minister for the South Central Conference to serve as conference minister consultants for the Southeast Conference for the next few months until an acting conference minister and or an interim conference minister can be identified. To give you a context, the Southeast Conference is comprised of the UCC churches in South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, and Tennessee, except for Memphis, Tennessee. So you can imagine that that is a large geography, larger than the Missouri Mid-South Conference, and its number of churches ranges to about 54. And so next week, as you are watching this on Tuesday, I will actually be observing my Sabbath on Tuesday. And on Wednesday, I will be in Atlanta, Georgia for an in-person meeting to meet with their chairperson of their board of directors, with their associate conference minister, with their treasurer, and with the other 2 conference minister consultants. This is the only in-person meeting that we are planning, but between the 3 of us, we are offering assistance and guidance in this time from conference ministry perspective. I share with this with you, number 1, so that you will know in case you call me at the conference office. Please feel free to call me on my cell phone, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. But more importantly, number 2, we hold each other together as one world when we are hurting, when we are celebrating. And in this moment, we offer that vulnerable space with the Southeast Conference, which, as I listen to the stories of the Missouri Mid-South Conference, it is a similar place where you were just a few years ago when the Reverend Dr. Davida Foy Crabtree came to the Missouri Mid-South Conference as the acting conference minister in an emergency situation, a consulting situation. We will not be traveling as Davida did, but you can imagine how significant it was that the Missouri Mid-South Conference was being prayed for, supported, and loved by the broader United Church of Christ in that capacity to invite the Reverend Dr. Davida Foy Crabtree to guide and lead us in that time of vulnerability. And so may we hold the Southeast Conference in our thoughts, spirits, and love in this time. I thank you for your support as we indeed are creating, sustaining, and living the one world that God has called us to be, this day and forevermore. Amen.